Hey guys, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
We're two lifelong friends and musicians, but when we're not playing gigs, we like to talk games.
And today on the Gaming Gig Podcast, we're reacting to unpopular gaming opinions.
Daniel, we all have opinions in gaming, and some of them are, maybe a little spicy, a little unpopular.
Totes spicy.
Yeah.
Like the peppers that we're going to eat.
Daniel got some of these Carolina Reaper peppers. He wants me to eat one. I'm not going to do it. He doesn't even have them in this room. Thank God.
No, but they are in the house.
Yeah, not happening. Not happening.
I'll get him to try one eventually.
All right, so moving on to the real topic, because I don't want to spend any more time on these peppers. What's your unpopular gaming opinion? That was a poll we put out. Give a few options. Open world games are boring. Nintendo is overrated. Souls-likes aren't fun. And then other.
Right. So at 24%, folks said open world games are boring. At 22%, people said Nintendo, you're overrated. More like Nintendo. And at 39%, people said Souls-likes ain't fun. And at 15%, people said other.
And we'll be reading some of those other comments. But were you surprised that the Souls-likes aren't fun was the number one?
No, I was not.
Unpopular opinion. So I guess it's really not an unpopular opinion if it's the most popular unpopular opinion.
Well, they're just so hard, and that's just not everybody's jam. And they have a very specific kind of vibe that can be off-putting. The movement is a little odd. We've discussed that before. So no, I wasn't at all surprised. And if I had to vote in this poll, that's what I would have said.
Yeah. I think I'm maybe towards that too, but I think in a way the open world games are boring. Kind of. They are a genre of game that typically burns me out a lot. Like I get very burnt out on them. After playing a few of them, I just want to stay away from them for a little while.
I completely agree with that. But I don't think it's because they're typically boring. I think that's because they just typically they require so much of me. They require my whole self to be invested in this big open world. Like Red Dead Redemption 2 is the screenshot, and I think about that game. That game is great, but there's so much to it that at the end, the last thing I want to do is jump into another big open world game. But I think about a game, I don't know, just picking at random here, or Tears of the Kingdom, right? There's no way I could have clicked that option just based on that game alone.
Right. But at the same time, I do get burnout on them. And I guess burnout on them is similar to bored, but I don't know. It's not the same. It's not quite the same. So I don't think I'm going to go with that. And then the option, I put Nintendo as overrated because I know that is an unpopular opinion that a lot of people have. And we had 22% of people agree. I could not disagree more. Nintendo is not overrated.
I think you can argue both sides. I mean, I really do. But I think I can argue both sides of every one of these.
I think what a lot of people look at is like Nintendo, they put out a lot of games, and just like any publisher, not every game is going to be a hit. Not everyone's going to be awesome. And Nintendo puts out a lot of really great stuff, but they also put out a lot of duds, low effort games that are just cash grabs. And I'll admit it. So if you're looking at those games, they are not representative of what I imagine as Nintendo, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. So we can't just sit here and pretend they don't. Yeah,
and even though I said, I would have voted Souls-likes aren't fun, I loved Sekiro. I intend on loving Lies of P. So, I really think all of these are multifaceted.
Right.
And not necessarily should be taken as blanket statements.
Well, before we move on to reading comments and reacting to other gamers' unpopular opinions, do you have any unpopular opinions that weren't in this? Do you have one that comes to the top of your head and you're like, this is one of my unpopular opinions? He's thinking.
I'm definitely an opinionated guy, but it's hard for me to pull it out of thin air here. I probably should have showed up prepared with an other. I know that a lot of times I gravitate towards games that might be different than games that you gravitate towards. But I don't know that either one of us gravitate towards unpopular games necessarily.
Right.
I do like my side scrollers sometimes more than the big 3D hard hitters. right now I'm really into JRPGs, like old school JRPGs, so that's fun.
not like unpopular.
It's not unpopular.
Those are, yeah.
I mean, Final Fantasy VI is not exactly a nobody.
No, exactly.
Neither is Chrono Trigger. So, maybe something will come to me as I'm reading a comment. What about you?
I think one that I have is, and I don't know if it's extremely unpopular, but one opinion I have is that I think all games should be able to save whenever you want, and they shouldn't use save like rooms or like save locations. I think that is archaic. I think it needs to go away. I hate it. And a lot of games still do that.
Yeah,
and
so
I don't like it.
Randy's talking about Metroid Dread right now.
That's one of the games that comes to my head. Yeah.
Randy lost some progress in Metroid Dread because he forgot to go back to the save room like you have to do in every Metroid game. And we argued over, he was like, they should just let me save or they should just autosave. And I was like, well, you shouldn't have forgot. So, but I was kind of playing devil's advocate, and I do agree that having a system where you can just save is better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even when I was a kid, I remember the first game that I remember ever doing this was Ocarina of Time. Do you remember how freeing it was to be able to just hit start and save anytime in Ocarina of Time? Because I do.
I kind of take that for granted. No, I don't remember that being a big pivotal moment for me. But
it was for me. Maybe I was just a needy kid. I don't know. Speaking of, so, I emulated Chrono Trigger, so I was using save states, right?
Right.
Save states are the bomb.
Right, and that's like the epitome of saving at any time. Yeah.
It's the epitome. Well, I'm playing the Pixel remaster of Final Fantasy VI. And I was like, I want to play this Pixel remaster, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to play it on Steam instead of just like emulating Final Fantasy VI Advance, which is the other kind of definitive version. I could have used save states if I did that one.
Yeah.
But Square is smart, and they actually fixed it. So you basically have save states in these Pixel remasters because you have an option in the start menu that wasn't there before called Quick Save, and you can use it anytime.
See, that's the way games need to be.
Good job, Square.
I just think that is the way to go. But let's go ahead and start reacting and reading some of these unpopular gaming opinions. And I made sure that we have 10 of them here, and they're all very different. So,
excellent.
Start us off here, Daniel.
Austin Flynn says, nobody is going to go back and play Breath of the Wild now that Tears of the Kingdom is out, because Tears of the Kingdom is basically just Breath of the Wild, but better. Essentially, Breath of the Wild is obsolete.
Do you agree? Is Breath of the Wild obsolete?
I've had this thought myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know why I would go play Breath of the Wild again. I love that game. It's definitely a top 10 game for me. Easy. Probably like top 6 or 7, but yeah, I don't know why I would play that when I've got Tears of the Kingdom. My argument for a lot of games would be like, well, you need to go back and experience the story. But what story?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of story.
So I kind of agree with this hot take.
I get it. I don't agree. And then the reason I don't agree is that I think that give me a couple years down the road, if I want to go back and replay one of these games, I might choose Breath of the Wild just because it is easier to take a bite of and be able to get through the game quicker. Tears of the Kingdom requires more dedication. It has more like mandatory things, in my opinion, that you have to do to get through the game. Where I think Breath of the Wild is just, I think you could get through the game in like 20 hours. Where I think Tears of the Kingdom, it probably is more like, even if you fast track it, you're probably going to spend at least 50 hours playing the game. Maybe a little less. But I think Breath of the Wild is a shorter game, and I think it has a lot of charm. It's a very charming game.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah, and I think that, so if I was like, I want to go back and revisit these games, but I don't want to like dedicate myself to the longer game.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'd be interested in looking at like the how long to beat and see really what the difference is. Breath of the Wild, I think it's clearly like, it's like a high watermark in gaming at the time, It's going to end up being like a pivotal moment for not just Zelda, but Nintendo, the Switch. Like, it's a big deal, right?
Right.
But I just can't imagine picking up Breath of the Wild and being like, where's my Ultra Hand? Like, why can't I fuse this acorn to this feather right now?
And I'm not arguing that I, think that Breath of the Wild is better, because I don't. But what I am arguing is that I don't think Breath of the Wild is obsolete.
Yeah.
I think it still has a place.
I think if you're comparing it to any other game, it almost always comes out on top. But yeah, this is just tough. I mean,
it's a tough one.
Yeah, I don't know that I completely agree with the word obsolete, because that's just harsh. but I probably kind of do.
Man. All right. Let's go on to our next one here. We got Blade Guru who says online multiplayer ruined gaming. Ruined it.
Ruined it. Ruh.
So, Daniel, do you agree with this one?
Well, yes, of course, because I remember back in the day when I had an Xbox 360 and I was trying to play like Halo 3 maybe online with some friends. My dad had the internet locked down so tight that I couldn't connect with anybody. And so I just missed out on all the fun for an entire console generation, and I never recovered.
So that ruined your gaming for you.
And I haven't really enjoyed a game since.
It sounds like your dad ruined gaming for you. Your dad didn't have the internet locked down so that you couldn't connect with people.
Not on purpose, but it did. No, what happened is I had an NAT type error.
Oh.
And I didn't know how to fix it. And Dad didn't care.
Right.
So he kind of did. But no, in all seriousness, I don't agree with this because there's still a ton of games that you can enjoy without having to play online multiplayer.
But I think the sentiment is that like online multiplayer set a wave through gaming that has ruined it. And I think I absolutely disagree with this because I think this year is just a great example of we're having some of the best games ever coming out in 2023. And that is not, online multiplayer hasn't changed that. It hasn't like now the games are worse.
Right.
I just don't agree. I get like the idea. I understand like not everyone likes the online multiplayer trend and they think that maybe gaming has gone down ever since it's become a huge thing, but I just disagree.
I think there's some pressure now maybe on a studio to like have that big online multiplayer game.
Yeah.
And it's probably a priority before you hit your big, artsy-fartsy single-player game. And that in itself, maybe I don't love.
Right.
But I've had a lot of fun with some online multiplayer games. Sea of Thieves, Fortnite, now Rocket League, Smash. Like, I can't say that I don't love some online multiplayer.
Yeah. I think we're both in agreement here. Disagree on this one.
All right.
Respectfully disagree.
Of course. Next, we got Douglas Dickinson, who said, my hot take is that co-op ruins the potential of most games that is implemented into. It restrains what devs can do both story-wise and gameplay-wise and creates a repetitive loop.
I think this is probably more in reference to games like, say, like Redfall, where it's like a single-player game, but they have optional co-op, or like really like they put like co-op as being a focus, but it's still a story-based game, but it's not, like only single-player. I think those games probably are somewhat limited because they want the option like, hey, play with your buds online,
Yeah, so games that you can play by yourself, but you really don't want to.
Right.
Yeah. I don't like games like that. I will agree with that.
But I think games like that have optional co-op modes, I don't know. I kind of like, it just depends on the game, obviously. I think of like Nintendo does this a lot. Well, they'll have a game like, say, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Okay, that's a single-player game, but it has an optional co-op mode. And I don't think it hurt the game at all to have a co-op mode. So I don't think that's the type of games that Douglas here is talking about.
Probably not. Probably
What
not.
do you think? Do you think that co-op ruins the potential of games?
No. All co-op does is make me jealous that I don't have anyone to play co-op with.
Maybe that's Douglas's problem too.
No, honestly, I don't ever think about co-op gaming, except for like a game like It Takes Two. I want to play eventually, but
Right, and it's such a great game, and you have to be co-op.
But other than that, no, I don't think so. I'm glad that we make good co-op games, and I think that it should continue to grow.
I think that old Dougie here is saying that, like, like I said, like games that have this like kind of shoehorned in co-op thing that they want to implement just because they want you to be able to play with your buds.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a shoehorner.
No.
But before we go on, we must tell you about our Discord. So if you're not aware of our Discord, first of all, where you been, buddy? Where you been? You've been living under a Discord rock? I don't know what to tell you. Go to the description of this video, click the link, join up. We got a lot of really cool people on there that love to talk games, and we're there too.
It's probably the best way to directly talk to us all the time because we're always on there. So,
Heck yeah. Join up. We'll wave at you.
responding to comments and stuff can be kind of hard on YouTube. Sometimes it takes a lot of time, but on Discord, it's just easier. So
That's right.
come chat with us. Okay, so next we got a real spicy one here, Daniel. This is from DCTA, who said Red Dead Redemption 2 wasn't that good.
Well, Yeah, it was.
Yes, it was.
I don't know what to say. I mean, not every game's for everybody.
I think a lot of people like the first Red Dead better because it was more. It wasn't so just story driven.
Mm-hmm.
It was more, action driven, and I think a lot of people like that.
Yeah, I think they're both great.
They
I
are.
loved both Red Dead Redemptions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if that's the only thing, if all we can say is, well, maybe he wanted a little more action and a little less story. I don't know. I don't know what to add. I mean, I'm sorry, buddy.
I think a lot of people also don't like the controls of Red Dead Redemption 2. Well, specifically just Rockstar games in general.
They are a little.
They're weird.
The momentum's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I do agree with that.
But I think that's a problem in both Red Dead Redemption games. I don't think that's just.
And Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah. Although I do think Red Dead Redemption 2 did some pretty stupid stuff, like having the pull out your gun button be the same as the talk to somebody button. And it's like, if you're slightly too far away, instead of talking to them, you pull out your gun.
Talk to me, lady.
Like that was dumb. That was really dumb.
Yeah. But that's a pretty minor gripe, if that's all you got.
Well, I disagree. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is a masterpiece.
It is.
Personally.
I agree completely.
But I can see how you wouldn't love it. But
I can say you wouldn't love it.
I personally do love it. I've played it through 2 times. Probably will play it a third. If Red Dead Redemption 3 got announced right now, I would be like beyond the moon excited.
Mm-hmm. We'd never get him back.
Nope.
I didn't think we were ever going to get him back this week. Randy went off to Disney World. And
had us a good old time.
I wasn't sure he was going to make it back from the land of Mickey.
If I could have stayed, I would have.
I believe it.
It was so much fun. Even if you're walking 9 miles a day.
I bet you were.
It's good exercise.
All right, we got this comment from Kevin Irahita. Kevin says, 2D is greater than 3D.
Ooh. I mean, like, it depends on the game.
It does.
But would I say that 2D is better than 3D? I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to say. I'd say most of my favorite games are 3D games, so I would have to disagree.
I can tell you that 2D is greater than 3D for the battery life on my Steam Deck. And I do certainly appreciate that. But yeah, it just depends on the game. I don't really have a preference either way. If a game's really good, a game's really good. I don't care if it's 2D or 3D.
Right.
Honestly.
No. But, I think about, like, if we're talking about just 2D versus 3D, are we talking about games that are traditionally 2D versus games that are traditionally 3D? Or are we just talking about purely 2 dimensions versus 3 dimensions here? Because if we're going off that, I think 3D is better. Because even, like, I'm playing Little Big Planet right now with Catherine, and that is a 2D side-scrolling game, but it's presented in 3D. Mm-hmm. So, it has 3D models and stuff like that, and it looks gorgeous. It is a beautiful game. It is an old game on PS3, but it looks just as good, if not better, as most games that are coming out right now. It is a beautiful game, and it wouldn't look that good if it was in 2D. It just wouldn't.
I mean, it would depend. It would depend on how they presented it and how they made it. I mean, I don't really know how to split your arguments here when you were like, are we talking about games that are in 2D or are we talking about 2D? Like, you're saying which graphic style do you, like, prefer?
No, I'm saying, like, is the argument here 2D, like, games that are traditionally 2D games are better than 3D games, like games that are, like, maybe take your, like, open world, your, like, sandboxes, like, all that 3D gaming stuff versus, like, your 2D games, like, say maybe take your old school JRPGs, your side scrollers, like, those types of games. Like, is that the argument, or are we talking about literally
how does it
2D
look?
versus 3D, like, art style?
I think probably the former.
Probably.
I think he's probably talking about the games.
Are we talking like no dimension to the figures? You know what I mean? Like, it's 2 different things.
I mean, I love both in both cases because I do love me some nice, crisp little pixel art. And I also love like the Metroid Dread, like 3D background.
Right?
I mean, I love them both, and I've certainly played my fair share of pixel art Metroid. So it's like I don't care. I love them both. If the game's good, the game's good.
I think that's what so it all comes down to, like, I think that it just depends on if the game's good. It really doesn't matter about 2D versus 3D.
I do kind of feel myself kind of having a pull towards always wanting to have like one foot in some sort of 2D-esque game. But I also kind of want to have the other foot somewhere more modern. So it's
Maybe this is just an argument that older games were better than newer games.
a lot of times they were.
Well, I mean, we always have. Here's the thing: we always have hindsight, and we can filter out all the crap. Over the years, we look back at all the old games and we say those were so good, but we're really only looking at a very small selection. We're looking at the ones who have made it. You know, the ones who we still remember.
Right.
Like, of course, they were amazing. But
Yeah.
give us 20 years, we're going to look back at now, and we're going to only remember those games that were
Yeah.
the best. We're not going to remember all the crappy ones.
Yeah, you're not going to remember like we don't ever remember like the 3 Bugs Bunny Magic Castle games or whatever they're called.
Right.
Nobody gives a crap about that.
Because they were awful.
But we remember, Golden Sun, Advance Wars, like stuff like that. And years from now, nobody's going to remember, at least I hope, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl.
2, you know, they just announced the
I
second
know.
one.
I know. That's why it's in my head. Great.
They couldn't just update it, apparently. Need to make a second one. Whatever.
I just when I saw that, probably on the same Jake Baldino video you did, I just shook my head.
Oh, I didn't. I just saw that. I saw like the trailer for it.
Well, he put it in one of his little roundups, and I just shook my head.
Yeah.
He was like, "This one's gonna have Jimmy Neutron in it," and I was like, "Who cares?"
Who cares?
All right, we got a comment here from Ouija, who said controller suits more games better than keyboard. So controller better than keyboard.
Yep.
For most
Controller
games.
better than keyboard for most games.
What do you think, Randall?
I absolutely agree. The only games I think that are better with a keyboard are shooters, mostly first-person shooters. That's about it. Other than that,
what about those big like MMOs, like the World of Warcrafts and stuff like that? Like,
I haven't played any of those games, so I don't know.
I haven't either, but I know those people like program crazy amounts of macros to their mouses, and I don't know. I think those games have so many options, and I may be speaking from my ignorance here, but I think they have so many options, so many things you need to be able to do quickly that it would make controller really hard.
Right. And I do think there are certain games that are better on keyboard, but overall, controller is the way to go for most games. I wouldn't want to be playing, like, say I've been playing Final Fantasy 16, just finished it this morning. I wouldn't want to play that game with a keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, I agree.
So, most games. What do you think, though? Controller better than keyboard for most games?
Yeah, I mean, it's what I spend most of my time playing on. I even converted from keyboard back to controller on Fortnite. Right. And we'll talk about that a little later.
We will. We will. We absolutely will. All right. So, next we got a comment from old Cash. I don't know how to pronounce that last name. Not even trying.
Bonusita.
But this is an interesting one. God of War PS4 / Ragnarok are B tier at best. We love the God of Wars. We love those games. Mm-hmm. B tier? I'm going to have to disagree. I'm sorry. God of War both God of War and Ragnarok are prime examples of games that have amazing gameplay and amazing stories. Rarely do you get those two things together.
Amazing graphics. The visuals are great. It's
just, I have to disagree.
They literally like reinvented a franchise with those games.
I think that even if you didn't love the combat, which I don't see how you couldn't, the story is amazing in those games.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, Cash.
You have to let us know what you don't like about it. Because I just, I don't know.
I can't figure it out.
You really don't like Norse mythology?
Oh, Norse mythology is the coolest mythology. I mean, honestly, most of that game could have sucked. And just the fact that I can throw the axe like way off into the distance and then continue to play the game. And then when I need it, call that thing back. That's all I need. I did it for 2 whole games. Every time I finish an encounter, I chunk the axe as far as I can. And then I just continue playing. And then when it's time to fight, I'm like...
It's great. It's great.
Yeah, I love it. And they built it in so that... Because I guess they knew you were going to be without your axe sometimes. If you're going to go through a portal or something, he like calls it back before he goes in the portal. Mm-hmm. It's just metal.
I wonder if old Cash here is a big fan of the older God of War games that were a somewhat different genre.
Maybe.
And maybe there's like upset that, it's moved on to something different.
Maybe so.
That could be it. And I get that.
Yeah.
If you're a big fan. I've not played any of those old ones.
Maybe they're mad that Kratos can't jump.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying.
Because he was a jumpy boy in the
I'm
old
not gonna
games.
lie, Kratos. I wish he could jump, but
He shows us that he can.
he just doesn't.
Like he just does. He just won't let us do it.
Yeah.
He's definitely got ups.
Oh, he's got ups. And speaking of ups, I want to tell you guys about our Twitch channel before we move on and read some more comments. We stream on Twitch on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern. You'll have to come join us, hang out with us. Like I mentioned earlier, the Discord, it's a great way to get in contact with us. Well, this is a way to talk to us live.
That's right.
Not that that's really that cool, but still.
It's not cool with both of us, but it's cool with one of us.
We know who it is.
Yeah.
But also, we play games with you. Join us, play Mario Kart with us, play Super Smash Bros. With us. Sometimes we have a spot open. You can play Rocket League with us.
Yep. Rocket League Thursdays, Mario Kart Sundays, Smash Tuesdays.
Come hang out with us, guys.
8 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
All right. We got 3 comments that go together here.
Right.
So we've got 83 Protons saying first-person shooters are overrated. Then we got Danny C 8900 saying first-person shooter games are boring and repetitive. And then we got Cold as Cisse.
It's cold as ice, but okay.
Cold as Cisse. Man, that's like reading hashtags. It's just hard for me sometimes. Cold as ice says first-person shooter games are highly overrated.
Yeah, we had a lot of this, so I kind of lumped them together. A lot of people don't like first-person shooters.
Me neither.
I'm not drawn to them personally. So it's weird to me that they're like one of the most popular genres of game. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I think they are overrated. I'm gonna lump in here with Cold as Cisse.
Yeah.
I can't believe I didn't realize that said cold as ice.
It's okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree as well. I mean, like, I've played some first-person shooters that I do like. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. There's some good ones out there. But it's weird to me how popular they are because I just think that there are so many other more fun genres of games just in general.
Yeah, I mean, the first-person shooters that I think of myself enjoying are never the typical ones. Like Fortnite, obviously it's highly popular, but Fortnite is not a typical first-person shooter.
It's also third person, so.
Well, you're right, it is third person. And I was going to say the same thing about God of War. Like I love God of War, but it's third person. So you're right. I guess I like third-person shooters.
Yeah, first-person shooters that I think that I enjoy. I mean, like, I like games that implement other elements beyond just being a shooter. Like, I think of, like, Doom, like the new Doom games. Like, they definitely have some first-person shooter aspects to them, but they're not just, like, pure first-person shooters.
Sure.
But, like...
Deathloop.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like, games that have other things in them that's not just pure shooting. I just get bored with it really quick.
Yeah.
So I haven't played that many. I'm not attracted to them. I'm just not into them.
Yeah, I'm not either.
So, I mean, there are some good ones out there. I like games like, say, like again, thinking like BioShock. Like, that's cool. First person got a lot of shooter elements, but it's not. It's
Not
just,
typical.
It's just not your typical first person shooter.
Right. I mean, you could almost say the same. If you're going to bring in BioShock, you could almost bring in Fallout.
Definitely.
Fallout is anything but typical.
Right.
And I wouldn't classify it as a shooter at all.
Although there are shooter elements in it, right?
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, I just...
Neon white.
Yeah, that's a really weird... Not definitely...
But it is a first-person shooter. That's all you do is shoot.
Right.
But it's like a speedrun simulator, really. It's not a...
You know, games that can let you do both. Like, say, like GTA and Red Dead. Like Red Dead 2. You can go into first-person mode, and I always would do it, and I'd be like, this is not fun. It just makes the game worse, in my opinion. I don't know why. Maybe it's because those games are really meant to be third-person.
I think so.
I don't know.
Okay.
Let's move on to, we have the Pride of 84, who says, gameplay in games hasn't had any significant improvement since 2006.
Well,
What in 2006 specifically? I wonder. That was like our, the Xbox 360 PS3 era, right?
Elder Scrolls Oblivion, Resident Evil 4, and Madden 07, Gears of War.
When did the Xbox 360 come out? I want to say 2006.
5.
2005. Okay.
So it hasn't improved since the 360.
Well, I'll tell you that, like I just mentioned earlier, Catherine and I are playing Little Big Planet 3, I'm sorry, Little Big Planet 1. And it's on PS3, and that game is gorgeous. And it's like games have not progressed that much since that era. And that game probably came out around 2006.
Yeah.
And it is beautiful. And it's like, it makes me think like we've seen such diminishing returns or like leaps.
Well, specifically in graphics.
Right.
But in gameplay, gameplay is something you have a lot of flexibility with. So,
But I'm thinking like it's a side scroller. Those haven't changed since like, dang, they really haven't changed that much.
no, not a 2D side scroller. What are you going to do?
Right. Some games have definitely.
There are definitely side scrollers that have like gimmicks.
Right.
Like the Messenger definitely had a gimmick to it that I thought was really cool, where you would shift between what you were doing was shifting between times. It was like a time shift kind of thing, but it changed the whole game from like 8-bit to 16-bit and back and forth, and you would shift back constantly, and it was super cool. But still just a love letter to like Shinobi and Ninja Gaiden. So side scrollers I guess haven't changed, but how can you say gameplay hasn't changed like that? We got like, when did the Wii come out?
The Wii came out probably in 2007.
So the Wii was a freaking revolution.
I don't know. We should find out when the Wii came out. I'd be interested. But I'm trying to think, like, I was in high school. Maybe 2006, 2007. I'm not sure. I remember it happening.
2006.
There you go.
Okay.
So.
Well.
Yeah,
maybe. There's games that do creative things with their gameplay, but maybe.
But that generation of gaming definitely felt like a big leap.
Yes,
that
it did.
Xbox 360, PS3, Wii, that felt like a big leap, and we haven't seen that leap again. We just haven't.
Well, that's the way technology works. It's going to progress slower and slower. But gameplay, that's like creativity. Like devs could do things with gameplay that I haven't thought of.
Right. But it is interesting. This is an interesting comment because we have things like the controllers from that era are basically the controllers we're using now. Like they were changing. We got to that and it was like we settled and we're like, all right, this is the way to do it. Like little changes, but no significant improvements.
Yeah, even the Joy-Con share a lot with the Wiimote. Like there's clear succession there.
That was the generation that we shifted to HD graphics. And that hasn't really improved. And then I really do think that there is an argument to be made here. I'm trying to think of like what games am I thinking like the gameplay is significantly improved. I'd say like in terms of giving you so many options, games like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, that would probably be my like argument against this. It's like games like that did not exist back in 2006 or earlier.
Right. So what you're saying is in order to disagree with this comment, you have to pull literally like the two biggest high water marks in gaming maybe ever.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, when I first read this comment, I was like, nuh-uh. But I think the Pride of 91 might agree with you.
84, I don't know where you got 91.
No, I'm the Pride of 91.
Oh, you're the Pride of 91. Oh.
Yeah, and I agree with the Pride of 84.
Oh, gotcha now. I see. I didn't follow you there.
I'm sorry, guys. He's been out of the game for a week.
Yeah, I've been in Disney World. I did not follow any gaming news while I was gone either.
Really?
It was sad. I did a little bit.
Did you see any cool Star Wars stuff?
There's a whole new Star Wars land. So
I know. Was it cool?
I didn't get to ride I only got to ride one of the two new Star Wars rides because the other one was like a 3-hour wait, and I was not about to wait in it.
Did you see like Darth Vader walking around or anything?
I did not see Darth Vader walking around. But it was cool. Like, Star Wars Land was really neat. In terms of like new, off topic here, but new like areas that have been added to the parks. The two big ones were like there was a Star Wars area that was added to Disney Hollywood Studios, and then there in Animal Kingdom there was a Pandora thing that's been added, like huge Pandora area since the last time I went. It's been many years since I went, and I will say that the Pandora area was way cooler than the Star Wars area.
Oh, I agree. That Star Wars area is probably just soaked in sequel bullcrap.
No, I mean, like, I'm trying about the way it looked.
Yeah,
Like, it was
I know.
really cool. But it was like, I don't know if it's like, I've just seen a whole lot of Star Wars stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I've been, I just recently played Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
And it looked like it was straight out of the games. Like, it looked like straight out of the movies. Like, it looked very cool.
I bet it did.
But I just thought the Pandora Lamb looked way cooler,
Okay.
personally.
One last side tangent off this tangent. Pandora Land, that's Avatar, that's James Cameron. When you were gone, me and Nick streamed Rocket League. Yeah, after we streamed Rocket League on Thursday, me and Nick sat on Discord for an hour talking about, it started out talking about like deep sea exploration.
Okay.
And then we ended up, or maybe it started out talking about these UFO hearings that you probably haven't heard anything about.
I did see a little bit about it, but I don't know much.
Okay, the Cliff Notes version is that aliens are real.
Aliens are real, y'all.
So we were talking about that, and then he started talking about deep sea exploration. That's what it was, and how similar it is to space in some ways. Did you know that James Cameron, like,
Oh, yeah, I watched the documentary.
I had no idea.
Have you seen the documentary?
I watched Deep Sea Challenge.
It's really good.
A couple days ago.
Yeah, it's cool.
I couldn't believe it. Like, I've always just thought of James Cameron as this Hollywood filmmaker.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not even that
He's
crazy.
the Titanic dude.
Yeah.
He's the Avatar dude.
I'm not even that crazy about his movies. But I have like a whole different respect for him now. I didn't realize, and I'm just gonna say it. I didn't realize he was such a bona fide badass. But he is. He went to the deepest part of the ocean
Yeah, he did.
first.
Well, there was someone else who did it before him. There was the two dudes who did it before.
I don't think they went to the same part of the Mariana Trench, did they?
Yeah, they went to Challenger Deep.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Because I thought they were saying,
No, he wasn't the first person to do it.
I thought he was. Maybe he was the first person to do it solo or something like that.
He's definitely the first person to do
Yeah,
it solo.
that might have been
Those
it.
two guys did it. I'm pretty positive. I may be wrong about
They
this.
definitely talked about those two guys, but for some reason I thought it wasn't the same part of the trench. But maybe you're right.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Okay.
But I don't know. I mean,
Anyway.
maybe I'm wrong. But it's pretty cool either
That's
way.
still a pretty elite company.
Yeah.
Yeah. So watch James Cameron's Deep Sea Challenge.
If you have YouTube Premium, I think it's free.
It's
on
free,
There. Yeah.
yes.
It may even be free for everyone who has YouTube. It may
might
just be
be.
on YouTube, but I know for sure it's if you have YouTube Premium, you can watch it for free.
Yeah. So cool.
All right. So, last spicy, unpopular gaming opinion here is from Leon, who says, "Here is one hard to swallow pill for some. Aim assist is not equal to aimbot."
Well, I'm glad you finally said it because it's completely true. Aim assist is not aimbot. Aimbot means you don't miss, like ever.
Right.
Aim assist means you get some help. That's what the word assist means.
Yeah, and if you guys aren't familiar with why this aim assist exists, it's because in games that have cross-platform things, say like your Fortnite, okay, you can play it on PC, you can play it on a console. What has been discovered is that PC players have better aim because they have their mouse,
Yeah.
and they can just aim more accurately.
You're moving with your whole arm, your
Right.
whole wrist, whole hand.
Right. You're just more precise.
Yes.
So console players are at a disadvantage. So they add in this aim assist that makes it so that console players don't have to be as accurate because they can't be. And it kind of helps level the playing field.
Yes.
But a lot of PC players get very peeved and they'll blame their losses on the fact that console players have aim assist.
Yes. Those people are just salty crybabies who need to quote unquote hashtag get good. This is why I switched back to controller in Fortnite because I loved the way the aim assist felt, but not just aim assist, gyro. And when you combine the joystick with the aim assist with gyro, your aiming can be so good on controller. And I feel like I'm better on controller than I was on mouse and keyboard.
But it's not aimbot. It's just not aimbot.
It's not aimbot.
And I think a lot of PC players are like, they use an aimbot. They have the aim assist. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like it just aims for you.
It 100% doesn't. And you honestly, I get crossed up sometimes because I'll realize I've moved so much with my gyro that my controller is like literally facing me, and then I like have to reset it and it gets awkward. So like, you know, it's a skill just like any other.
Now, it's up to the game, the individual games, to balance it, to make sure that everyone is on an even playing field. And I'm sure like games like Fortnite who get constant updates, I'm sure they're pretty good about balancing it, I would imagine.
It used to be a lot stronger, and it's been toned down. So probably so.
But it is not aimbot. And I think it just comes from PC players who are like salty that they've lost
That's exactly
to
right.
a console player
Yes.
who are using aim assist.
How could this member of the PC master race ever be bested by a console peon? That's what's going through their head.
It kind of feels that way.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just here to transcribe the message.
Although I will say like Fortnite, I play a keyboard mouse because I think I do better that way. I like that. I mean, I feel better doing it than using aim assist and a controller. So, it's preference at that point, but I think it's pretty balanced personally.
I agree. Well, Randy, we've reached that time.
We've made it through all of our unpopular gaming opinions, and it's time for the 3 for Dale Club.
And unpopular they were.
They were. But guys, you made it all the way to the end of the podcast, and we want to shout you out and thank you for making it to the end. So we do that through our 3 for Dale Club. Here's what you do. Leave a comment on the YouTube version of this podcast, and in the comment, just include 3 for Dale somewhere. That's our secret code phrase that lets us know that you made it all the way to the end, and we will shout you out at the end of the next podcast.
That's right. So starting out the 3 for Dale Club this week, we have AJK, a.k.a. Anthony from Down Under.
Anthony, thank you for always being there for us, man. We really appreciate it. Next, we got Memo. I have it written here as Y Memo, but it's not Y Memo. It's just Memo. I don't know how that happened.
Why Memo?
But Memo, I think a new member of the 3 for Dale Club. Glad to have you here.
Next up, we have a returning member of the 3 for Dale Club. We have the Laninator. Laninator, thank you.
Oh, Laninator. Thank you, man. Up next, we got Landon Stallings, who is back for his 500th time in the 3
Dale
for Dale.
himself.
Can't be 500 times because we are on podcast number 79.
79 in a row.
79 straight weeks of doing the podcast.
Over a year.
Over a
We've
year.
gathered in this room every week.
And talked about games.
That's pretty nuts, honestly. And
Landon's been here for most of them.
Yes, he has. And what a feat it was, because we know it wasn't easy. But rounding out the 3 for Dale Club for the week, we have Tom Derry. Tom, he's a staple of the Discord. Join the Discord. Go talk to Tom. Tom, thank you so much.
Tom will definitely talk back. He's awesome.
He's a clapbacker.
That's right. Okay. Tom, just don't listen to Daniel. Don't let him call you those names.
Clapback's not bad.
Being called a clapbacker just doesn't seem right to me.
It just means he's got a rebuttal. That's all it means. I didn't say it was good or bad. And in fact, if it's Tom, it's good.
He's a very positive person.
He
yes.
is.
He's a very, very good person to have. All right, guys. Well, until next time, I'm Randy.
Which makes me Daniel. Sorry, I missed my cue.
You didn't really. But this has been Gaming Gig.
Peace out.